Good afternoon or good morning to everyone on the line. Welcome to today's webinar presentation. My name is Maria Noessi and I will be your host and moderator. We're very excited to have all of you with us today for a presentation on our latest simulation, alcohol and other drugs. This is an exclusive first look for our clients, so welcome. Before we dive in, I'd like to go over some housekeeping. First, today's presentation is being recorded. Don't worry about taking any notes. We will send you a copy of both the recording and the slides after the presentation. Also, during the presentation as an attendee, you are in listen-only mode. However, we have allotted time at the end of the presentation for questions, so please feel free to use the GoToWebinar interface on the right-hand side of your screen to submit questions throughout. Finally, for those of you who are on social media, please feel free to connect with us on Twitter and ask questions there as well. Now, to get us in the right frame of mind for today's discussion, I'd like to go ahead and launch a poll question and invite you to come over and participate. The question is, how prepared are your students to navigate conversations around alcohol and drug use with their peers? Your options are very prepared, no additional training needed, somewhat prepared, they could benefit from additional training, not prepared at all, they have not received training, or you are not sure. So I'll give everybody a few minutes to respond and then I'll go ahead and share the results with everyone. All right, let's go ahead and share the results. It looks like 50% of you said somewhat prepared, while 23% not prepared at all, and only 5% said that they are very prepared. So thank you for sharing, and I hope that today's discussion can be insightful on how to close that gap for your students. Now I'd like to turn it over and introduce our presenter, Cam Weiland, who is the product manager for the education market here at Kognito. Welcome, Kim, and take it away.
Thank you so much, Maria. I'm excited to be here to talk today about the program and really give a first look to many of the current clients that we work with. I want to start, I have control now, so let me move the slide ahead. With really just talking about the why behind this program. We'll go over some of the learning objectives, do an overview of the content, and then give a live demonstration before we want to make sure we have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. Oh, well, give me 1 second, guys, and I will. I'm going the wrong way. There we go. You're getting a sneak peek as I learn how to use the controls. There we go. So I just wanted to spend a little bit of time at the beginning of the call this morning and just talk about, the why behind this program. We have been partnering with universities and colleges for many years now, mainly, as you guys know, around the topic of mental and emotional health. And as we have spent time in those partnerships, really getting to know the needs of our partners and what they're looking for on their campuses, what we began to hear is that they were really looking for us to potentially bring what we do and look at some of the other areas on campus that they were looking to focus on. We know that as we have been talking not only to students, but also to the prevention and wellness experts, that they were looking for something that would really empower students, that was much more experiential, that would really engage them, and would really focus on meeting students where they are and upskilling them. So that's where we came at it from and into this conversation. And our goal was to bring what we do really well and our platform, our top game designers, our experts in learning design, and partner that with leading prevention and wellness experts from our partner universities and college, as well as some of the top prevention folks in the country, and then combine that with a lot of in-depth feedback from students, really understanding what it was that they would hope to see in a program like this. What are the barriers that they face? What are some of the influences that they expect? And really, what are the skills and the areas that they would like to be confident as they make that transition into college and to really feel successful, that they're prepared to be successful. So as we were building this out, we were really coming at it from that angle and saying, okay, what does that look like? What does something different, something that's really going to meet this need that they're asking for? And so we wanted to move beyond definitions. Definitions are important, but to make sure that everybody is speaking off of the same language, but really, wanted to move beyond that as well. So making sure that there was the ability to have experiential practice where they would be able to see, model, and practice what some of the situations that they might face and really increase their engagement. So, talking about the definitions, but also building out that skill set and being able to give them the opportunity to practice those skills and really in a way that is reflective thinking, that is giving them feedback on the choices that they are making, and really bringing that ability to gamify some of this in a way that is going to ultimately, the goal is to upskill. We want to make sure that we're meeting students where they are, not assuming that they don't have any of these skills, that they don't have any of these goals and intentions already, but instead really making this so that it is based on all of the evidence-based prevention methods we already have around social norming, bystander skills, and those things, but knowing that each student is going to come to campus with a slightly different values and goals already, slightly different understanding of bystander skills, slightly different understanding of what they think drinking and other drug use on campuses are. So we're going to spend some time as we go through the presentation actually talking about how we do that there, but I want to make sure that we talk really importantly about how this is tailored to each learner. So the students are going to receive customized feedback, not only on their level of where they are already coming from in drinking. So non-drinkers, those who may drink, or those who may be at a higher risk, and they're able to choose the path based on really their own values and where they're coming from. But also when we get into the practice scenarios, they'll receive feedback based on the actions that they choose and how they explore those scenarios. So even that level of the programming is really going to be tailored to them. And that again comes to this idea of really wanting to meet them where they are, to focus on upskilling, and really make it as engaging, as reflective as possible. Obviously, as I said, we work very closely with prevention experts. We bring lots of expertise on the gaming and the learning design. We have internal prevention experts, but we also have worked on this product very, very closely with quite a few amazing prevention and wellness experts, many of them from the partner schools that we work with already. And this is, as we build this out, was really meant to be part of a holistic prevention strategy. It was really important for us that as we built them, we were thinking about how we talked about the different skills across all of them, how we would frame those skills in different scenarios that students might experience. So when we were building the sexual misconduct prevention program, we were also looking at how would we talk about those same skill sets in these types of scenarios, knowing that at the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is empower students with those skills, with that confidence, to make sure that they are able to really not only build the health promoting behaviors for themselves, but also feel that they are empowered and engaged in creating that atmosphere, that climate that they're looking for on their campus as well. So won't spend too much time on the learning objectives here. Many of you are familiar. These are similar to the learning objectives that you guys are very familiar with. They cover the important things around social norming, refusal skills. We really wanted to spend some time making sure that they were able to practice those refusal skills. Obviously, we did spend time on examining the risks associated with alcohol and other drug use, as well as risks associated with combinations of, and as well as looking at then in these practice scenarios, how would they apply some of these skills, these actionable strategies. And then at the very end, and we'll talk more about this, is the ability to compose a personal positive behaviors action plan. So not us saying, this is your goal, this is your positive action plan, but allowing them to actually go through and be able to develop that for themselves. So again, I've reiterated this a couple of times, but it's really so important for us as we're thinking about this, and that is we're really making sure that we're focusing on the skills. We hear this from the students. We hear this from you guys as we're talking about what you would like to see in these programs, and that is you really want to be focusing on upskilling your students, really moving beyond, the don't do drugs message, moving well beyond. We're building skills for success that can be used in multiple scenarios. So while the scenarios in this one are around alcohol and other drugs, these same skills around knowing what your goals are, setting your intentions, and then using those goals and those intentions to set your limits, to know how to refuse in a way that feels comfortable for you. Students, one of the things we heard quite a bit from them was, well, how do I use refusal skills and still make new connections and those types of things? And so we're able to model that you're able to be assertive, you're able to know what your goals are and speak those in those moments, and we're able to build their confidence in doing that. Bystander skills, again, a really important skill that can be used in so many different situations, and we're able to model that here again. And really importantly, and this is where we have spent a lot of time as a company, is this idea of active listening. How can we help students really improve such an important skill set that is going to help them succeed, help them support others? Active listening, and we really base a lot of that on MI principles, the evidence-based behind motivational interviewing, and really helping to upskill students in that area. Cross-functionally, we cover that in every one of our programs. So just really quickly, you guys are familiar with how we set up most of our programs. This is going to follow a very similar model. And the reason I pull this slide up is to show that when we talk about a topic, we then provide a practice scenario. So really want to quickly embed students in an engaging scenario where they can try out those skills, they can see how it would play out, they can reflect on that, and really make sure that that is embedded in a way so that, didactic and then scenario and then feedback in a dashboard, and we follow that pattern throughout. As I mentioned, you get to pick your coach at the very beginning. When you guys try this out, I encourage you to try the different paths. There is not one path through. So you can pick one coach who is a non-drinker. That's Jules. You have Casey, who is going to be a slightly more open to drinking, but is pretty middle of the path. And then your last coach option, which some students are going to relate to the most, is going to be Eve, and she's going to be a really a heavier drinker. The idea here is that we're able to give feedback to students wherever they are in that Choosing your limits. This is a really wonderful scenario, and we're going to spend a little bit of time doing the demo here. We spend quite a bit of time at the beginning talking about social norming and making sure that students understand that college is an amazing time where they can meet and make friends, really become connected to the university, and that does not have to involve alcohol if that is not their choice. And really making sure that they are very comfortable with their own goals, and they're basing what they would want to set their limits and their choices off of where they're coming at from. And then once they've had the ability to think about their goals, their limits that they would put, we talk to them a little bit about what some refusal skills can look like, how they can use those, and then they get to practice that within a scenario. And then we move to the next section, which is the bystander skills. They'll get to use that again. We talk about what bystander skills are and give them that solid base of understanding. And then we very quickly again want to have them be able to use those skills and navigate that. When we look at the scenario, I'll show you a little bit about how the coach feedback that comes up throughout is really their ability to get feedback as they're navigating through and learn from those actual moments of choice and reflect on those moments of choice. It's a wonderful way to gamify this, make it much more engaging. And it's really the way a lot of kids are now have actually become much more used to learning. They learn as they do. They have the base of knowledge, but then they're learning as they do instead of just kind of getting that base knowledge and then moving on and not actually practicing with it. So a couple more real quick, and then we'll get right into the demo. Want to cover recognizing a pattern. As I mentioned, this is our section on talking to a friend. This is where you get to use some of those active listening skills. Students are very likely to recognize high-risk patterns in their friends or even maybe their family members. They may want to talk to somebody that they're concerned about, but not know how to broach that topic. So this is their ability to have a little bit more confidence in broaching that, know that it's okay to have those conversations, and as well as, and I think it's really important here, is that at all times we reiterate for students that, reaching out to somebody you're concerned about, listening, being there for them, that does not mean that they're immediately or will change their behaviors. The goal here is to be supportive, to let them know what support you have for them, what resources might be available to them, but it is never insinuated that it is on the student to affect the change. It is really up to that other person, and we reiterate that quite a bit throughout that section. And then this is the part at the end that I talked about, staying true to you. This is their ability to really set their own action plan based on what goals they want to set for themselves, what their intention around drinking is, and they're able to walk through. We use SMART goal as a way to model that for them. It doesn't have to be SMART goal, but it's a nice way for them to sort of put goal setting into a framework and have that as a skill they can use moving forward. So we're going to hop into the demo. I'm going to pause, and Scott is going to get that set up for us. And while Scott is getting the demo ready for us, I will just say as we go through this, there might be a slight lag because it's running through the GoToWebinar system. But as Marie's going to talk about at the end, we really want to make sure that you guys have the ability to review the full program, run it by important people on your campus, as well as students who might be helping to make a decision about these types of programs. So Okay. Says I'm that something seems to be wrong with the sound.
See some people dancing, beer pong, or we can just chill on the steps for a bit. What do you want to do?
So I'll just pause briefly here. We did make sure that there was language throughout the program. There are different scenarios. Some of them are based within a smaller setting. This one happens to be based at a party. So we wanted to make sure that there was language in here that related to this moment, as well as reminding them that these are transferable skills. So while the setting might not be appropriate for this moment, the skills are. So we're gonna just show you a little bit of, this is the setting and sticking to your limit scenario. So they get to go to a party and practice sticking to their limits. They'll be able to choose what activities they want to do. And within that, some of them, they may be approached about drinking, and they will be able to stick to their limits through different scenarios and then receive feedback as they go. So we'll just go with hang on the steps. Pretty basic party.
Proofs and one lie. Huh. So I tell you 3 things and you're trying to pick the lie?
Yep. And maybe we can say if I guess right, you have to drink.
Not everything's a drinking game, Charlie.
So what I love about the scenario, and this actually came from our students, is that drinking games is something that they wanted to see modeled, and how within a scenario like this, they may be able to use some of the assertiveness skills. So we will, and as I mentioned, they are able to set what they expect they want their limits to be, and then this knows what they said from that previous and will follow. So if they said, I don't want to drink, it's going to give them feedback on that they're exceeding their limits, and they may want to pull back, and here's some ways to do that. If they said, you know, I'm okay with having a drink or two, the feedback will be about that. We never actually in the scenario let it go to binge drinking, so you can't set your setting to that. We'll start with.
I'm cool with drinking.
Kevin's up first.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm not going to drink anything, but I took a dance class when I was a kid. I'm really into anime, and I worked for a year on an alpaca farm.
Easy peasy. I've seen you dance, so no doubt you took classes. No disrespect, but anyone who wears an octopus on their shirt is definitely into anime. And I don't think you could wake up early enough to be a farmer boy.
I'm actually kind of iffy on anime. I'm glad you like it though, Ems. And I have no problem getting up early for animals.
Ah, I see that. Guess I have to drink.
Do you though?
Your turn, bud.
Sure.
So you'll see that throughout this, there's also moments of social norming. We made sure as we worked with our prevention experts that was built throughout. So in this scenario, you'll see that Kevin never drinks. His limits that he set for himself is no drinking. And there is feedback that you'll get. So you told Charlie you were okay to drink, but you know, keep an eye on how much you plan to drink so that you can stick to your limits throughout the evening. So we won't go through all of these. You kind of get to work through the scenario, and we'll continue to get feedback. We'll walk through a couple, but as I mentioned, we want to make sure that you guys will have access to the full program to review.
I built the table in my room by hand.
Sick.
Yeah, put finish on them and everything.
Because it's 2 truths and a lie. Give me 1 second and I'm gonna tell a lie and 1 more truth.
I quit karate like a week in.
Still down on yourself about it, huh?
Poor kiddo Emmers.
Growing up, I had an imaginary friend named Alex. And one time she told me to shove a bean up my nose. So I did.
Ew.
Yeah, my mom had to get it out with tweezers. I shoved it really far up there.
That's pretty metal.
All right. We heard a lot of stories about edgy Emmers. You say you had an imaginary friend and a bean in your nose.
That one was cute.
Yeah, maybe too cute to be true. But I'm gonna guess true anyway. Does Emma make tables? It's a good question.
I'd buy it.
Yeah, me too. I'm going true. Which brings us to you allegedly quitting karate. I bet you did take karate and you actually got pretty far.
Yeah, all the way to brown belt before I gave up.
Aw, so close and so far away.
And you were also right about the other 2.
Charlie, it is unstoppable. So you lose, you drink. Time for you to make yourself a little something.
So one of the things that we wanted to make sure was in here, and after this I'll move on to the rest of the presentation so we have time for questions, but was that there are different ways of drinking as well. So part of the previous program, the previous didactic to this talked about the difference between mixed drinks, what was in different amounts of each of those liquors. And so throughout this, you'll also get to choose what type you drink, and you'll receive sort of feedback on those as well. So let's skip back. Thanks, Scott. So I want to just real quickly, before I turn this over to Maria, to talk about the free trial. As we've been building this program, really intended for older adolescents, really students who are either transitioning into college or have been in college. We were also creating a program for high school students, really to target more upstream. This also includes goal setting, intention setting. It also includes the active listening piece, and is really meant to begin the conversation about what are your goals, what are your intentions, how does that fit within the decisions that you want to make around alcohol and other drugs, really supporting your friends and yourself, help seeking skills. And so we wanted to make sure that we were covering the full spectrum and building student skill sets. As I said, we're really focused on upskilling. So building on those skills and knowing that students are really coming from different places and making sure that we are meeting them where they are. So let me turn it over to Maria to talk a little bit about the free trial.
Thank you, Kim. Yes, so as Kim mentioned, today is a first look at the simulation while we are finalizing it. But as a Kognito client, we wanted to provide you with the opportunity to evaluate this new simulation within your school, and to be able to do that for a limited period of time at no cost. So during the month of February, we will be providing current clients with access to evaluate the simulation, where you can invite your colleagues, student leaders, and even the larger student population to go through the simulation experience and share feedback with you. We will be sharing information on how to access and take advantage of the trial in early January. However, as we transition into the Q&A, I'm going to just launch a quick poll question for you on your screen, where if you are interested in taking advantage of this opportunity and would like to learn more, please share with us. And again, in early January, we will be sharing all of the details on how you can access the simulation, resources for you to share with your student body population. And again, it will be available to current Kognito clients at no cost during the month of February. So with that, I'd like to transition into Q&A. And again, I know we're starting to be at the hour, but if there are questions that you are interested in learning more about, please submit those through the question box. Kim, the first question that has come up is, can you reiterate what are some of the evidence-based frameworks that are embedded within the simulation?
Absolutely. So we are using bystander skills, which is an evidence-based skill, and as well as the refusal skills, the goal setting, and several of the pieces around active listening come directly from MI, which is an evidence-based communication technique, and then of course social norming, which is an important evidence-based strategy.
Thank you. And I have a question specifically to the friend-to-friend for K-12. Can you specify for which grade levels the friend-to-friend substance use simulation is for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we were developing it, we were really looking at the ages from around 8th grade to 10th and 11th grade. That is where a lot of that is slotted in to programming around prevention for alcohol and other drug misuse. But then as well as with the idea that our AOD for higher ed piece, that's really when you're becoming 12th grade, transition into college, makes a lot more sense. So they sort of back up to each other. One leads into the next.
Wonderful, thank you. And for those of you, I see that there are a lot of you who are interested in that program. We will also host a webinar in January, similar to what we went through today for that program, to show it to you and go through all of the learning objectives that have been incorporated into the simulation. The last question, Kim, is can you share a little bit about the cost of the higher ed alcohol and other drugs simulation?
Sure. So cost is based on the student population. So it's going to be based on that. So the best way to get to an actual cost for your specific school would be to ask for a pricing request, because it will be specific to your school size.
Great, thank you. There continue to be a lot of questions. So what we'll do is we will follow up with you regarding the questions that you've submitted, just to be mindful of your time. And we'll make sure to follow up with that and also share information about the trial that will be available in early 2021. I want to thank you all for tuning in and being here with us today. Thank you to Kim for the presentation and showing us what this new simulation will entail. And again, please stay tuned for more information to follow. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.